Okay. Yes, sir. Back from the wilds of Discovery Bay, Mr. Brodsky. It is Brodsky, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, thank you. You'll remember that he had a red line comment on a sheet of paper yesterday that related to both the first and third chapter discussions and this discussion.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael Brodsky, Save the California Delta Alliance. First, I'd like to address the Chairman's well-placed concerns about groundwater overdraft, and at the same time make a suggestion related to Ms. Marquez's desire for a bold new mission to take this council where no council has gone before.
That's what I was looking for.
And it's the idea that Dr. Goodwin and I were chatting about during the break yesterday, which is we have a situation on the one hand where in periods of very wet weather and at highest flow, our export pumps are turned off. Nothing is going through the CVP or the SWP because there's nowhere to store it. At the same time, our groundwater basins all over the state are severely depleted. So the idea is a project to put in place the infrastructure to take that excess flow, if you will, and use it to recharge groundwater all over the state. That involves a lot of plumbing. It involves a lot of scientific inquiry. It's a big idea, but I think...
Who should pay for it?
That's a good question.
Well, no, it's not a good question. It's the practical starting question. If it's to replenish existing groundwater basins
that have been severely overdrawn.
Okay. Is it the responsibility of the people who have overdrawn the basins to pay, or the responsibility of all the citizens of California? Or both, or neither?
Those are good policy questions. We're at the outset of our mission here. And these are questions that need to be addressed and answered. I think that we can spend $12 to $20 billion on a peripheral canal on one hand. The money would be much better spent on this kind of an endeavor. I know we don't have the authority to revisit what the legislature decided, but when a project is really needed and it's a good project, ways to finance it can be found. Yes.
Okay. Michael, you'll be glad to know that there are grant programs in place to do just that. And Kern County is an example. There are numerous small groundwater recharge projects that have been co-funded by irrigation districts such as the Delano Early Mart Irrigation District and the Sausalito Irrigation District. Not large, but sufficient to utilize surplus water in years when it's available to help to recharge the overdraft groundwater. And I think in the policies somewhere, one of the policies, we advocate expanding that. So your request is in keeping with something that we've already expressed interest in doing and promoting.
Good, and to the extent the council can move that forward or get behind it, I think your weight would move this program along faster and would be a good thing.
Knock on wood.
And now to address the issue that I came here to talk about, which is WRP1. First, I'd like to say that I think the important thing that all the options suggested by the staff do that the fifth staff draft didn't do was they make it clear that the point is to reduce reliance on the Delta. The previous draft that talked explicitly about complying with 20 by 20 and all existing water conservation laws could have been interpreted to mean, for example, take a large a water district in Southern California that gets water from multiple sources, the Colorado River, the Delta, and other places. They could easily comply with 20 by 20, reduce their overall use, but increase their use from the Delta by cutting back on other sources. And what this draft does is it makes it clear that you must reduce reliance on the Delta, and I think that's a really good thing. As far as the talk that's been floating around about exempting in-Delta users, I don't think that that's the idea at all, is to exempt in-Delta users in option 2 that you have before you, but that to recognize that in-Delta users take 100% of their water from the Delta, and so the requirement of the water code to increase regional supplies really has, and thereby reduce dependence on the Delta, really has no meaning for them. So what they should be required to do is to comply with 20 by 20, strictly. And by complying with 20 by 20, they'll be using less water, at least less water per capita. I think a different situation applies to the exporters who have multiple sources of water and should be required to demonstrate that the per capita percentage of water from the Delta that they're using is decreasing over time. And when the future gets here is up to your very smart staff to figure out, whether that's, 5% within 5 years or some other figure. Obviously, they're not going to do it tomorrow, but I think one size doesn't fit all here. And those are my comments.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.